If you have ever bought bulk cards online, you probably know this feeling. You spot a massive deal, you think it's a gold mine, then a few days later the box shows up. You rip it, expecting a treasure trove of playable trainers and shiny gems, but instead, it's just a load of common cards and energy cards. And that sobble you've seen 300 times. When you start buying bulk, you think, yeah, I'm being clever. I'm starting to get some great deals from people who are starting to offload their collection. But there are a few warning signs that can save you from that sinking feeling that you get when you realize you've basically just paid for a box of disappointment. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the signs that I've started to notice when you're trying to buy bulk online, especially on places like Facebook marketplaces, eBay, and community pages. And I'm not some expert seller or a full-time flipper. I'm just someone who's learning with you as they go, making the same mistakes, testing ideas, and figuring out what actually works. Think of this as a chat between two collectors who are trying to navigate bulk buying together. So here's what you might realize over time. Buying bulk might sound simple. You buy cheap, sort, profit, but there's a whole other nuance to it. One of the big mistakes is that people think that volume equals value. Like the more I buy, the more chance I've got of pulling something good, as if you were ripping packs. But in reality, where you buy from is more important than how much you buy. When you buy from large stores or established retailers, they've already done the important sorting part. Every playable trainer, every competitive staple, probably everything worth over 10 pence are gone. They've already picked out the best things. You're just left with the rubbish. But on the flip side, when you're buying from smaller collectors, you might get their unsorted chaos, which is sometimes great, but sometimes awful. And sometimes you get some boxes where you have some absolute gems. Other times you get some boxes where you think, what have I done? And you question every moment in your life. It's a game of balance, and it's part of the fun figuring out what you want to do. One of the first red flags is the spot when sellers say certain things, such as, how much bulk are you willing to take? And when you first start and you might think, ooh, they're just trying to be a little bit flexible. But a lot of the time it's, how much junk are you willing to take off me and how much can I just get rid of? And sometimes though, it is innocent and they do just have a genuine large amount of cards to sort. But when a seller's first instinct is, how much can I offload? That's probably your sign to just take a step back a little bit. So what we should do is ask a few questions before we agree to anything. Has the bulk been sorted at all? Are reverse hollows and trainers included? And what's the ratio of energies and code cards? Because I don't really want them. And if the answer's vague and they avoid the question completely, go somewhere else. Because if you do go through with it, most likely you'll probably just regret it later. Something you see quite a lot is sellers advertising bulk as commons and uncommons only. Now, early on, you might think this is fine. Maybe there's still playable trainers or some cards with nostalgic value in there. But 9 times out of 10, it means that the good stuff's already been taken. These sellers have probably already taken out the reverses, rares, and promos, or anything that's slightly interesting. And what's left is the leftovers. The stuff you don't want. The stuff that's in the bin. While Pokemon does have some valuable uncommons, especially trainers, this stuff's very rarely in the bulk buy section of this box. Is just commons and uncommons. But that doesn't mean that commons and uncommons are useless. You can sell them or donate them in smaller batches to places where kids could use them. So here's the unsorted dilemma. Sometimes it can be gold, sometimes it can be complete trash. Because the dream scenario is when you find a genuine casual collector or seller who hasn't unsorted their stuff at all. And maybe they've just boxed up years of collecting and are just moving on. And those things can be incredible. You can find a mix of eras, EXs, hollows, reverses, playable cards, you name it. But most of the time, if it says unsorted, it just means that they couldn't be bothered to remove the code cards and the energy cards. It's one of those things that only experience can teach you. And every mistake tightens your sense of what is actually worth the effort. But let's talk burnout and time trap. Initially, when you start sorting the cards, it's like organizing little bits of treasure. Your reverses, your hollows, trainer cards. But after weeks of bulk buying, it can become a little bit exhausting. And that's when you find yourself spending 6 hours sorting through 8,000 cards. By the end, your back hurts, your neck hurts, your wrist hurts, your elbows hurt, your knees hurt, your shoulders hurt. And then you find out after all of that time, you've only made a couple of quid in resale value. And if you're spending hours just for tiny gains, that should probably tell you sort your energy somewhere else. Maybe building themed lots or buying bulk that's already been sorted. Keep sorting as part of the hobby, not as a chore. You could put on a podcast, put on some chill music, do it in front of the TV. Who cares? Whatever will keep you entertained while you're doing it. So that way it can be a little bit more relaxing rather than a grind. Now here's some red flags to watch out for. Think of vague descriptions. If a seller can't tell you exactly what's in it, probably best to just avoid it. Too good to be true prices. If something's an insane price, leave it alone. If they've got no photos, ask for photos. If you don't give you any photos, again, see it, goodbye. Energy overload. If you see stacks of energies, it's probably not worth it because they're just throwing their literal junk in there. And sometimes a random mix of sets. If it's got a random mix of sets, it just means that the seller has put all of the stuff they didn't want to sort together. And if you've ignored these signs, you've probably regretted it at some point. But to be fair, not all bulk buys are disasters. It might have some EXs, GXs, all the reverse hollows, or even some full arts that you didn't expect. And at that point, you can easily triple what you paid for it. And these are the moments that make it worth buying bulk. Sometimes you just find that one box that really surprises you, and that's what keeps you going. The key is going in with the right expectations and not expecting to find treasure every single time, because it isn't a guarantee. And this is how I'd sum everything up. Buy from individuals, not from resellers, because resellers have probably sorted through everything already. Ask questions, because the more you know now, the less surprises you'll have in the future. You could adjust your prices based on effort. If it's unsorted, give them a lower price. If it's already sorted, give them a higher price. And lastly, keep it fun. Once the fun stops, stop. And just think, try and have more of a collector's mindset than just focusing on profit. It is the Pokemon TCG after all. Every box can teach you something about sets, condition, what you want to do, what you want to collect. And it could be a little bit like a crash course in the hobby. And sometimes you lose money, and sometimes you win. But that's okay. And over time, you'll start seeing certain patterns, how like some sets flood the market. Because the real win isn't just what's in the box, it's what you learn along the way. So most of the things that I've learned are mainly just through trial and error. And occasionally regret when you're buying bulk online. So the biggest red flags are sellers who ask how much you can take. Commons and uncommons only listings. And unsorted, that is just unsorted junk. Avoid these and you'll save yourself a ton of wasted time. And if you're trying to grow your collection, learn the market, or just make a little bit of money out of the hobby itself, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and you can come and learn alongside me. This is Aimliss, and trust me, I'm just getting started. And also, click on this video where I talk about how the Pokemon market is changing for 2026.